Yes, seems like I was right. Apple will indeed be having an October event on October the 30th. Apple has announced this just a few hours ago, so here's a few interesting things to know about the Apple October event. So grab some snacks, sit back, relax, get some drinks. Not really, this won't be that long of a video, and enjoy. Okay, so just a few hours ago, Apple has sent over the media invites for the second major 2018 hardware event. The first one was, the Apple September event in which they announced the new iPhones, and then the second one would be this one. They also had an event in March, but that was just, for a small iPad, the entry-level iPad, and then WWDC for software back in June. Now, this event will be held on a Tuesday, October the 30th, at 10 a.m. Eastern Time or 3 p.m. UK time. Finally, an earlier time for the UK. Now, the reason why this is not 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. UK time is because this will actually be held on the Eastern Coast. So in New York at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. I mean, yeah, this is a bit weird because Apple has had all of their major events recently at the Steve Jobs Theater in Cupertino at the Apple HQ. But they decided to hold this one in New York. Now, it could be because, the Brooklyn Academy of Music is a space dedicated to creative individuals and artists. So, this is what most of the event would be focused on as well. And size-wise, in case you're wondering, this venue is smaller than the Steve Jobs Theater. However, it does have 2 stories, so it should be enough for this event. So yeah, in the end, this is a smaller event than the September iPhone event, and also smaller than WWDC as well. But okay guys, what can we actually expect from this event? Well, a few things. I've already done an Apple October event, 6 things to expect, because yeah, we're expecting 6 things. So in case you haven't seen that video, check it out for a more in-depth explanation of everything that Apple would announce or could announce at this event. But in this one, I mostly wanted to have a look at the invites for the events to see what hints Apple added in those. And that's because pretty much every single year, Apple included hints, some interesting hints in their event invites, as to what they would announce at that specific event. So for example, in the March event, their tagline was, "Let's take a field trip." And this was written with what looks to be an Apple Pencil. So yeah, school and iPads were the hints for that event. And this is exactly what we got. We got an entry-level 2018 iPad, 9.7-inch display with Apple Pencil support, which was mostly aimed at schools, teachers, and students. And what's even more interesting is that Apple has been doing these hints in pretty much every single event. For example, when they announced the iPhone 6 event, I do think that this one had the best Easter egg so far. It was scheduled on the 9th of September, 9th of 9th. So 2 9s, and if you flip those, you get 2 6s, and Apple also ended up announcing 2 new iPhone 6s, this iPhone 6 as well as the iPhone 6 Plus. So that was a pretty cool Easter egg. Okay, so what about this event's Easter eggs? Well, for this event, Apple has given out not 1, not 2, but actually close to 20, if not even 30 different Apple logo styles. And wow, I do love the way all of these look like, some more than others. And something quite interesting here to notice is that all of them look like painted, and they're all basically art instead of, engineered from metal, so to say. So what I'm saying is that these look as if they were made by artists, possibly on an iPad Pro, possibly with maybe even a brand new Apple Pencil. So there you go, this would be the main theme for this event. We're going to see a brand new iPad Pro, actually that big iPad X, which I've been talking about for quite some time and quite some few videos. I made the first video on this iPad, the 3rd generation iPad Pro, back in November 2017, so almost a year ago. I called it the iPad X because it would be the iPhone X equivalent to the iPad lineup, and quite a few tech websites picked this name, and reported on the iPad X, but it won't be called the iPad X, guys. It won't be called the iPad X. It would most likely still be called the iPad Pro, just with 3rd generation added to Apple's support page, like they're currently doing now with the 2nd generation iPad Pros. I just wish that Apple did the same thing with the iPhones and, called them iPhones and then 2018 edition, or, 2018 in the support page instead of having those weird 10R, 10S, and 10S Max names. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. But yeah, this would be the big announcement of the event, that bezel-less iPad Pro with Face ID, no more home button, gestures, and possibly even a new back design as well. Now, speaking of this new back design, we've had quite a few reports that the back would get squared off to look like an iPhone 5. And then also the thickness of the iPad would be reduced even further. Now, personally, I still believe that the back would be identical to the iPad Pro 2nd generation with the same slightly rounded frame and chamfered edges, because, it's easier to hold. And the only difference would be a relocated smart connector, which could be vertical. In that case, I don't really see the side smart connector being removed, but rather a second smart connector being added on the back next to the lightning port in order to support some additional accessories. Because think about it, if the smart connector would be repositioned to a vertical position, then how would you connect the smart keyboard? You would either have a cable that goes onto that connector, which would look messy, or a vertical keyboard, which would look even more messy, I would say. Or we could also have a connector on the actual inside of the keyboard, if you know what I mean, on the microfiber part, which again won't happen because that's gonna scratch the display. So yeah, but yeah, other than that, the Apple A12X processor and the new design that I've been talking about on the front, and also no notch. So yeah, design-wise, this would be indeed the biggest design change to the iPad, and I'm really looking forward to this. I mean, I've been looking forward to this for a full year now. Now, going back to those Apple logos and the invites, these Apple logos that we've seen, they all have a very remarkable design. So some of them have some very, very thin lines that are very artistic, while some of them have some weird 3D shapes. So my point is that Apple would be introducing a second generation Apple Pencil, maybe something that would also come in multiple colors. Space gray, for example, would be great. And also the W3 chip is most likely going to be included in the Apple Pencil too. So this is something that we have the W2 chip, so actually the W1 in the AirPods, and then the W3 in the Apple Watch Series 4. So essentially this would allow the iPad to automatically pair with the Apple Pencil when the Apple Pencil is nearby, instead of being always connected via Bluetooth, which, by the way, does drain the battery a lot. And I do have this gut feeling about Apple that they would be releasing a native drawing app for the iPad Pro, because at the moment this is something that the iPad Pro is truly lacking. The only Pro app for drawing is literally Procreate or Affinity Photo. We still haven't seen anything from, Apple directly. Yes, we do have the Notes app, but that one doesn't even compare. Now, the AirPods 2 are also expected to make an appearance with Hey Cindy support. Obviously, I don't want to say Siri because that's going to activate your devices. But yeah, this would be the main announcements. Now, what about the Mac? That's the thing that Macs are something that I care about the most in terms of Apple products, way more than iPhones or iPads. And in terms of the Macs, we're so behind when it comes to updates. So the iMacs haven't been updated in more than a year. The iMac Pro, also a year. Mac Pro, 5 years, guys. 5 years for the Mac Pro. Mac Mini in 4 years, no updates. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess. Well, in my 6 things to expect video, I talked about what updates they could all be getting. Now, the only problem is that since the event is not being held at the usual Steve Jobs Theater at the Apple HQ, I have a feeling that this would be overall a quick event. So about 1 hour to 1.5 hours instead of, the usual 2 hours to 2.5 hours. Again, this is not confirmed. This is just my speculation based on the fact that the event would not be held at the Apple Spaceship campus this time. Now, in case this is a short event, this is what we'll end up seeing: the iPad Pro 3, the Apple Pencil 2, and the Apple AirPods 2. Now, if it turns out to be a longer event, which I do hope so, then Apple would be releasing some new Macs as well. And in terms of that, a redesigned iMac would be about time, with thinner bezels and an even larger display. That would be awesome. Or at least, updated specs with even 8th generation processors, even though 8th generation processors would be outdated, by the way. They have been released a year ago. So what about the Mac Mini? So the Mac Mini, I'm definitely hoping that this one gets updated at the event. A Pro-focused Mac Mini has been rumored for quite some time, because in that case, I can use a Mac Mini, again, as a full server, which I'm really, really looking forward to and doing some tests with that. But yeah, other than that, there's a new 12-inch MacBook that we've yet to see with updated specs, and also that new redesigned MacBook Air, because the MacBook Air hasn't been updated design-wise since 2010. Did you guys know? Fun fact, 8 years and no updates design-wise to the MacBook Air. Now, Apple did say that they are working on a redesigned modular Mac Pro for 2019, which I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, maybe a teaser for that at the event. Yeah, that'll be awesome. Imagine 2 of the latest generation Xeon processors that Intel has announced, 2 28-core processors in that thing. That could be a possibility. So yeah, this would be everything in terms of the Mac updates, but let me know in the comments, which update are you looking forward to the most? The new iPads, AirPods, maybe the AirPower, maybe that has been discontinued. We don't know yet, but it is mentioned in the manual of the iPhone XS's. Fun fact. But yeah, fun fact, check out my 6 things you need to know in terms of the Apple event, 6 things to expect, for more detailed coverage in terms of everything to expect, because this was mainly just a quick rundown now that the event has been officially announced. But yeah, it's funny how September is usually the busiest month in terms of releases, and now October is the new September. So yeah, lots of events, lots of releases. So definitely subscribe and notifications if you're new to the channel and you want to see more coverage of some really cool stuff on the channel. I've done a few camera comparisons in the past few days. The iPhone XS review is now live on the channel. The full review after a month. So yeah, thank you for watching. This has been pretty much it for this one. Really looking forward to the event. If you like, have enjoyed it, let me know. Also, join the zone, tap the join button, and you can become a member of the zone. And you also get some exclusive features, and you also support the channel, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in my next video. So, Tech, signing out. Cheers.